I raised them. That stat sheet right there. They did 2,200 plus damage this game. That is incredible. You can see it right here. A lot of it coming from this end game, actually picking up a plethora of eliminations. Their box fighting skills seem to be catching a lot of these players off guard in the game. Woo, look at that.
Absolutely crispy and cooking inside of these boxes. It's looking like a full-on barbecue right now with Zagu and Mareem, the way that they were just lighting it up inside of that low ground congestion. Not only that, but I just love seeing how poised they are after that finish. They have not lost sight by any means. They know exactly what's on the line here as far as regional representation is concerned, and you absolutely love to just see that energy kind of be reflected in their gameplay.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you mentioned energy. I've been seeing them walk around the player lounge, everything like that. You know, the walkouts, they always seem so happy, right? They're so happy to be here, and they seem confident as well. There's never really like a, you know, oh, we're worried to be here. No, they're just fully embracing it, and we can see it right there in game number 1. They came on top pretty much.
When you have performances like that, I can imagine why they're so confident. Because again, I think a lot of duos may not have necessarily been anticipating some of this aggression that we are witnessing right now in game 1 from the other international regions. But at the very least, I do expect a little bit of a bite back from NA East, West, and EU.
I think for me, I'm looking forward to seeing how many more duels try to go for height, right? For in this instance, Zagu and Mareem, they were just in that mid ground. They didn't even care about high ground. They're like, exactly. No, you guys battled out. We want more eliminations. We'll stay right here. Do you guys think that maybe more duels will look to just say like, look, our kind of strategy to win is that high ground. We got to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. We saw a lot of teams that actually like to play the high ground. Unfortunately, not making it into that game. They went down a little bit early. Like, for example, Aqua and Reason, Jason and Chabix also went down. Another one, Alex and Bailey, we talked about them from OCE. They love to play the high ground, and they just, all 3 of them went down a little bit early, so it could change big time. You know, we also saw Kanata went down a little bit early. Macwood loves to play the high ground coming out of NA East. Pretty much the only thing that he shies for, but being left as a solo, he couldn't really do that this game.
But just look at some of these names that are located on the second page already for the leaderboard. You got Thomas HD at Trippert, Pink and Anas. Again, I think Vico and Benign have been really exciting to kind of follow along with, especially since they're relatively newly formed here for the FNCS Invitational. I don't think that is an easy feat by any means to have to quickly adapt to your partner.
100%. And listen, I can't believe it, actually, because Clix and Duke were actually popping off towards that end game, right? And you know, the crowd was going crazy. We on the desk were like, wow, they're really showing up right now. And you know, on that leaderboard, it's really showing as well, finding those eliminations on big name teams as well. They're coming into the Invitational with the experience, and it's showing.
How many of these duos are thinking to themselves, game 2, I'm ready. I have that strategy locked in. I think I know what I need to do to get going, because I want to make the crowd here in the Raleigh Convention Center just lose their mind when we're taking shots. Because, man, there was some eliminations happening, and I was just on my feet screaming with the crowd.
You know, straight up, ultimately, it's going to be based on an individual level, I think. You know, how good are you, and how good is your mental at taking something that could be negative and turning it into something positive? Because, you know, not everything went right for any duo of that game, so they have to think about those things and like, okay, what can we do? What have we scrimmed before that has kind of helped us throughout these situations? And just make those changes come into game number 2. But there's also duos, plenty of them, especially the top 10 on the leaderboard, who, you know, found things that worked for them. So keep doing those things, but again, not everything went perfect, so keep that in mind.
But nerves aside, as the games go on, it's going to start feeling more and more natural, I think, for a lot of these players. You're going 100%. To start being able to focus in a lot more on the actual gameplay itself, and I think that's where the audience just becomes a little bit of background noise until it comes down to those final moments. But something that I'm really curious to see is whether or not these players are actually going to showcase some of their flexibility or adaptability, because Merstash Malibuca, I think they're a great example of a duo where they can go a game or 2 or 3 without really being able to catch anything, and then they just turn up.
That's right. We've heard from us. We've heard from Mini, Miner, and Tokata. Let's throw it on over to casters to hear their thoughts on game number 1.
Thank you so much for that quick, of course, toss there so we can start getting into our perspective here. I mean, Jacob, let's talk about what we know just coming out of game 1.
Yeah, I mean, what we know, NA West, Cool and Yuumi showing up big, not only getting that 3rd place finish, but you saw that 2v1 off the back of Cool. Another thing, Acorn, NA in general is just kind of showing up. Obviously, EU won the game, but I think we need to start giving NA more credit.
Yeah, definitely have to give them that credit. They show up and then wait for them to win those early engagements.
Yep.
I mean, listen, we got to sit in the player lounge, quite literally stand over the shoulders of On1 and Baka while they were practicing. They took on the likes. You know who they're training against?
Who are they training?
Reet and Epic Whale. That's their training partners. And I don't know about you, but if you were following Twitter, I posted a little clip of Reet taking on Merstash and Malabuka. So it kind of all ties together if Merstash and Malabuka are known as some of their greats. And then On1 and Baka could hold their toe-to-toe with someone like Reet. I mean, it all just starts to make sense.
You know what I'm loving out of all that, though? You talked about the 2 partners, right? On1 and Baka, and who they're sparring against, Reet and Epic Whale. That's NA West. That's NA West showing each other some love. I talked about a lot of these guys being friends, but when they're on the battlefield, they're enemies. That is just inner region training, and that's something I love to see.
That's right, and of course, the upsets, right? We saw a couple edge battles there. Bugha and Miro taken out so early. This is one of the things we didn't really get to talk about. You would think that a team like Bugha and Miro, who have drilled and trained their drop spot so perfectly, they almost have it conditioned, this should be another walk in the park situation for them. What do you think went wrong as they were rotating out? Because it seems like they face planted into Macwood and Kanata. That was the big resistance, and they were just taken out.
You know, without seeing too much of their POV, I can only go off a few educated guesses here, and just judging by 95 players being alive when Storm Surge hit, I think they were one of the few teams that were having problems dealing with that. And that's one of the things that I said in an interview before this event, that Storm Surge is going to be hard for these players to deal with, because the players that are above Storm Surge, they can hide in a box, they can focus on those rotations, but the ones that are below, they have to fight outside of Storm. They have to fight the first person they see in that first moment, because
perspectives here, we have so much more in store.
Thank you guys so much for those insights. We actually have a really cool moment here. The casters kind of talked about Bugha and Miro going down earlier. We had a listen-in moment. Let's take a look.
We need to find extra heals. You should pop cabbage maybe for whites. I need to heal. Unless you throw me a mini now.
Yeah, come. Out there, like right there.
Surge, yeah. I want that big ammo crate, but I know they're just gonna get above us.
I mean, I think you can go for it. There's a chest there as well. It's definitely worth it with our loot. It's just glid off the thing.
Minis, yeah.
Sure, we can get enough.
It's not. Here, we can get stacked, bro. I'm chilling. If
Yeah,
we
I'm
get
good
surge,
now.
we sit in zone, bro. We should look.
Yeah, like where though? We just have to. We'd have to follow right side.
Yeah,
like,
we have to go right side. I'm
wanna
just gonna go up. Nah, we should bump.
Alright.
You can already tell. Even Bugha and Miro are like, hey, we need Storm Surge. We need to make sure this is right. It is absolutely affecting many of these players. We will come back and talk about more of this in just a moment. First, I do want to throw it on over to the player area for a little special interview.
We have a very special interview, Zeke. I'm here with one of our alternate players, Frey. Now, Frey, you've been watching in the crowd, right? What's the energy like? How does it feel?
The crowd is amazing. I'm so happy that we have Leanza back. The crowd couldn't be crazier. It's so awesome to be here.
Yeah, we can hear them just there in the background as well. They're getting kind of crazy, right? So, of course, you're a professional player yourself. How would you prepare for an event like this? How do you think the players and what's been sort of going through their minds?
So I think bot viewing is extremely important. You need to know who's landing around you, what they do, what their tendencies are. And yeah, just bot view, fix your mistakes coming up to the event, and then just play your game.
Of course, you can give a big insight into the game as well. For a lot of these players, you can sort of, give your insight, maybe to talk to them as well. But we'll stop it right there. We'll throw it back to the desk for some more.
Thank you guys so much. Raleigh Convention Center, you guys ready? Because game number 2 is about to make its way here, so let's make some noise. It's game time. This is the FNCS Invitational 2022 coming at you guys live. Are you two ready?
Yes.
Yes. beyond ready, beyond excited. I think that more than anything else, this game number 2 could really be a little bit of a breakaway moment here for some of these duos. Cammy and Shetty in particular, they are definitely looking for another highlight reel instance. And whether it comes from Victory Royale or just from being able to rack up those elims, I think that the Polish powerhouse is certainly still making it known that they are some of the best.
Champions are on the stage, right?
I was gonna
Game
say.
number 2 is, this is where you got to start picking it up. You got to start developing your strategies around the meta of the lobby. And, who better to do it than the 100 of the best players from around all of the world?
Look at them zeroing in right now, Vivid. They are so amped. They are focused. The tension is real.
The tension is beyond real, and not only that, but I kind of want to touch on Bugha and Miro. We saw that little listen-in instance between the two of them, and were it any other duo, I think there might be some room for concern, but Bugha and Miro, I think, are an exclusive case, because Miro specifically, this guy is a 5-time FNCS champion, and yet, out of all the FNCS finals that he has competed in, he has only ever collected 3 Victory Royales.
Wow.
So it is a primary example of the fact that high ground can win games, but low ground could possibly win championships. And that moment in game number 1, while it wasn't able to go in their favor because they were struggling with surge management along with some of the other duos, again, they're able to make it happen.
All right, we've broken it all down. We had game 1 wrapped up, it's gone. Game 2 is here, it's now, the battle bus is ready, the players are on board. Let's just get this started.
Here we have it. Thank you so much, Zeke. We get to start gearing up for this battle bus to take off now.
Yeah, this is finally setting in for a lot of these players on the stage. Game number 2 is starting right now, and hopefully all those nerves from the end of game number 1 have settled, because now when push comes to shove, some of these players that might be at the bottom of the leaderboard, Mr. Savage, iDrop, that went down early, they might have to start dealing with that Storm Surge early.
And that's right. We saw what happened in game 1. The real question is, how are you going to adjust coming into game 2? This battle bus is telling me that the Chrome Jam Junction is under fire very quickly. It's so close to the drop spawn. You can see already things kick off. This time, iDrop says, you know what? Let's put that weight, in my experience, on my back. Savage takes down Baka, and all of a sudden, it's a different tale to be told.
Happy birthday, Mr. Savage. First elimination here in game number 2, and that puts On1 on notice. You gotta have to watch out, because we're here to fight. That first one might have been a little lucky, but another one, this one, I feel like has to have a little bit more damage, because all 3 of these players, Monster, they were dealing with Storm Surge, and they were just on the cusp. Some were even below.
This is not the only contested draw spot. Don't forget, Tilted Towers has so much going down there as well. So between Cloudy Condos and Tilted Towers, these are the 2 most contested draw spots. And what I saw there is Acorn and Edgy in the feed final. Big fights unfolding already, just giving us a little sample of how these drops are playing out.
Yeah, you can kind of see everybody just on their drop spot. The ones that don't necessarily have the POI, it's about looting up, getting as much resources as possible, trying to get as many metal and brick as you can in terms. That way, when you make it towards the end game, that way you don't have to worry about it. But for these teams that are also on the outskirts and talk about looting up, you have to start thinking about Storm Surge. Your pathing is going to be so important, because we saw how many teams went down to the Surge itself.
Here is Poland's finest game 1 winners from Becoming Legends, Cetis and Cammy. This team here has placed top 10 in every finals they have ever competed with together. But wait a second, hold that thought. And Ascent Pink here on the other side of the Joneses. This is a fight that's being extended out. The last time we were here, Clix found an elimination with Duke. They actually held it off. Remember when we talked to Reet and Epic Whale, they said, hey, you know what? I believe in the fighting power of NA on this one. They have full confidence that they can do it.
Yeah.
Pink and Anas have to jump back.
Yeah, and you got to think back to that NA East Finals where Clix solo points after solo points, but as long as these 2 guys stay alive, they're going to be contenders for every single tournament they play in. Duke has FNCS champion in trios. Clix is one of the best individual players on the planet.
We have a huge opportunity here for Duke and Clix to continue to put up big numbers. We know they had an excellent kickoff to things here as they continue to find their strides, but things are going to slow down and you know, you really genuinely expect this to happen, especially at a Fort Jonesy's. This is not a POI big enough for 2.
Yep, we see Clix just trying to gather the information. The longer this fight goes and the higher they build, if it comes to it, we got Jason Basil over on the side. Those are the third parties that we saw towards the early of last game as Ignas Pink trying to get deep into the box. That Evo Chrome Burst AR, we saw how much damage it does to these builds, and it eats through in a second.
More importantly, if you can find the tags,
That's
just
big.
like that, Pink and Ignas already turning this story on its head here. That's bait there. He sees the shotgun. That moment, Duke does not let it drop. Now, mind you, Clix has some of the greatest track record in history of taking on head-to-head battles like this. This is why he is so recognized as one of the greats of the space in these kind of moments.
This is where these guys, 66% of their overall victory royales do come from the low ground. The Pink and Ignas, they're just trying to keep a little bit of elevation. They're not ultimate high ground, 3-4 boxes big. They're just trying to keep that advantageous position as long as they can. But this monster, this one's dragging out a little too long. Do you think there's going to come a point in time where they just kind of abandon and try to get to the zone?
Well, I hope it continues because the rest of the lobby is just taking their time. 49 duos are still alive here, and this is one of the only ones deciding to go toe-to-toe. Clix, once again, gets tagged there. And again, let's talk about the bad blood developing between these two. Pink and Clix were once upon a time almost duos, as Pink was so close to traveling to United States to play alongside them, but now they find each other on the other sides of the monitor here, going head-to-head. And I mean, looking at the HP so far, it's looking very good for Guilds NS and Tundra's Pink.
Yeah, and honestly, let's talk about this prolonged fight and what happens if they do actually split right now. They're not going to have a lot of time to go ahead and mat up, but a big shot coming out from Clix. We know what happens when this man has his back against the wall. His bite is much louder than his bark.
This is where Duke does tend to shine right now. These real scrappy types of engagements. This man does not tend to miss a shot. As now, they're looking. They know the enemies felt that on the other side of the wall, but hey, the longer they stay here, the less the less odds they have to actually survive. The longer story is, of course, making it to endgame. Let's jump on over, though, to our favorites of Miro and Bugha here. Head-to-head with Z Andy, Joe F. So much going on here.
Yeah, for them, we saw that replay of last game during the listen-in. They were just dealing with Storm Surge in not the best way. Even though they were about 50 above, that's not the position you want to be in. But you can see Bugha and Miro have a 60-plus win rate when contested. So they just need to find their rhythm here on this international stage.
Talking about international stage, Alex and Bailey, they have taken this from the player lounge to the main stage. Game 2 now, the fight, the second time. The story won't be the same. It's Yusri who finds the trade there and now has to protect his teammate. A huge shot onto Bailey. It's not looking good for Oceania's champions here, but Bailey waits for the toe-to-toe. He gets the thirst, he needs the points. That's a kind of play you only see in person. A huge shot. Bailey says, respect me, Yusri, back up.
He has some heals to use, but does he have the time? Not finding a way to stabilize. Bailey's gonna get in, but only a sliver of HP, and that's why he's picking and choosing his fights right now. He's just going for piece control first, trying to heal up, getting as much shield as he can, but you can see he has no HP to regain, so that knock on the Jew is so important.
And he knows he cannot allow him to get the heal off here. You will not save your teammate if it's up to Bailey. Yusri may have the health advantage, but Yusri has his back against the wall right now. The defensive trade, a huge shot, and Bailey gets caught with his pickaxe out. Yusri clutches up, saves his teammate, and they are in game 2.
Sends him back to the lobby, but third place, NA West, Cool Yumi getting busy already. Elimination on the Wox. Now it's up to Rob Bob, trying to stay alive here, trying to get and find a position to where he can hide. You see it in the mini-map. He just got out, and I love that play coming out from some of these players, choosing not to be the hero, because you end up in the hero in the wrong position, you're end up going to be a zero.
Now, Robap doesn't have a lot of experience here. They've only made 2 finals together between Wox and Robot, but there's a huge development happening here. Let's watch this back one more time. Here's how it kicks off. Cool finds the huge tag. All of a sudden, the knock is there. And yes, there was a third party in the side. You get the reaction as well. You can see how fans are cheering in support of one another. But back into the action. Hellfire, Falconer, new duo, pairing up with one another.
They already took down King, so this is got EU NA West trying to take down the region, trying to bolster their points, because right now the only points they have is that elimination storm now covering and moving over them. Ultimate Team is now in the distance as well. It's going to become more and more dangerous.
Fafnir's one of the only competitors, one of the very few left in our scene that has been here since the World Cup. He placed 5th in duos way back when. Wait for him to step up to the challenge and take on this first FNCS Finals ever together alongside Hellfire there from Denmark. But On1 and Baka, did they get the save off?
No, I think On1's there by himself. He's just trying to stay alive, and it does look like Larssen and Smite might know he's there. And this is where On1 has to be very, very careful. Fighting in the storm with very little HP. Larssen knocking on the door, trying to burst his way in. You see the bait and switch come through, trying to make sure that both of these players have enough HP to take a big shot from On1 and continue that bait and switch, but he is on the run.
What a tough story for On1 and Baka. Such a great and strong showing in game 1. He loses his teammate to Mr. Savage out the gate, survives, saves them, but Smite and Larssen, who are contested here by Looter and Muzz, are still in the zone, and they meet him, and that's how they get this first elim. So it's only a matter of time now as that clock rages on. Smite steps up, and there it is. The zone does the rest, and they will find their second elim now, wiping up one of the greats from NA West.
They got to go ahead and travel to zone, but back on board, Falconer and Hellfire, but let's just make it Hellfire because Ed was able to take down Falconer in a 1v2 situation. Now he's 1v1 versus EU. Brazil trying to stand up tall. Ed put the pressure onto those covers, but he knows when to pick and choose his fights. He hears the splashes coming out. He knows that's going on to Falconer. The shield keg as well. He's trying to stop as much of the heals from going through, but it does look like Hellfire is going to get 200 yet again.
Listen, Ed recently signed to Team Liquid, showing you guys why exactly he deserves to be here. He has had some of the most impressive rises in recent times on his region, but now he's looking to represent for Brazil. And of course for Argentina, his teammate King, who is already down. Hellfire manages to lose his teammate. The wall gets taken, and Hellfire has to react quickly, but look at that. He does not miss a beat. Ed finds the siphon, and now it's an even exchange.
Yep. Right now, the 2 launch pads on the Hellfire. He can abandon this fight at a moment's notice.
Here it
but
is.
Ed with no HP, it's all or nothing.
Here it
This is the moment you've been waiting for.
Here it
Shots
is.
coming through, and Ed 1v2s NA East.
Brazil and Argentina are probably standing on their feet right now. Ed touches up a 1v2.
Oh my gosh, and if somehow, some way, he found a way to get King's card, but they're on over to Chonker Speedway. The action will continue. Reason and Aqua going up against Bevy and Vortexers. They have a lot of practice going against each other on the EU region, so this is no strange fight to them.
What's scary about this is the fact that they've rotated out of the condo down to the territory of Bugha and Miro at Chonker Speedway. And yes, they get met with this incredible duo, but it shows you that no one is safe. This entire area is such a deadly play zone, and now you have Reason with the scraps, with his back against the wall, below the Storm Surge, absolutely ready to commit to this battle.
Yep, Aqua and Reason again, 140 below the damage threshold. And you can see all the players at the top of the damage threshold, but this is, again, what is going to happen at Cloudy Condos. A triple contested spot, but nobody is fighting. That's forcing these players to rotate away to find some extra loot and find the damage. And 165 below, Monster, I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't nervous.
Copenhagen Flames, Pablo and Swag on your screen right now, also below, but hey, a good little tag here of elim for Swag right now, puts him in a nice position. They found a player out in the distance. Snacky and Fabs have a window open there, focusing on the duo as well. So they're all looking to target Noah Riley and Bad Sniper. Remember, Noah Riley was eliminated very early to the hands of Edgy while they were landing, and he didn't even get to touch down before he was swatted out the sky.
And game number 1 winners, Cammy and Seti. They haven't even done much. They get the zone for now. They get the high ground, probably just trying to go for Surge. So that way when they are forced to rotate, they only have to worry about that. But we knew they were down onto Surge. Now the Peace Control is trying to come over. They're trying to break into the boxes. It's now or never because damage is being dished. A huge shot from Aqua's onto Bevy, who's forced back into a defensive position.
Well, here we go. It's now enough in 20 seconds left, but so the Surge gets active, and they have to turn up right now. This is game number 2. Aqua needs these points here. Bevies manages to go ahead and chug splash his way down. He's back up to Vex HP. He's looking pretty solid, but Aqua not afraid by any means. Meanwhile, Reason finds a wall. That's an angle, but he doesn't like the defensive Ultimate that responds from Bevy and Vortexer. And now, here it is. Things are going to get dicey as the Storm Surge turns on.
Yeah, look at them. You see 30 below, even though they're continuously dropping, they're doing damage. Seti getting one on a Peppo, probably sending him back to the lobby as Scram goes down as well. Acorn found a way to get rebooted, but Deja Vu strikes. He goes down again to Epic Whale, who honestly is having a much better performance this go around.
But back into the action here. Reason now down to no HP. Aqua is also on the defensive stance here. Down goes Reason. That's a huge shotgun shot from Vortexer from the side. If you blinked, you missed it, and now Aqua has all the pressure on his shoulders. He has to back up. But Vortexer playing smart, respecting the GOAT of EU. Aqua here, our World Cup duo champion, is now left as a solo. Clock's ticking here, the pressure comes in. Bevy's looking for any angle. These are all enemy walls here. One false move and it could be it, but the Surge is gonna hurt Aqua again. He gets the heal off and no, he gets finished. Vortexer finds the second. 500
above the damage threshold. This is only their second FNCS playing together, and they're looking like they are longtime teammates already as Joe and Z Andy, uncontested, over towards Synapse Station, looking to get some damage as well. Even though 79 is above the damage threshold, you know as well as I do, that is absolutely nothing.
Vixen and Arctor here. Oh no, they're gonna find a huge elimination there. Another Surge fight that's going down. It's tracking the flies in the distance there. You see folks starting to look over. Arctor has a decision to make. Does he push in again? They barely have anything. They've used all their heals. One tag is all it's going to take them out. Oh, Grove claps back, though, and that's a huge punishment there. And with the downed body, he says, you know what? I'm going to full finish here. I'm back in this game. Arctor takes off running for the hills.
That was a much needed battle by Groves, and I like to play again. You cannot be a hero in these lobbies as Mustache. Looking like he's having a little bit of trouble here. 202 above the damage threshold. 2 eliminations already, so they finished this fight, but you can see the teams on the outskirts of Rocky Reels, they don't want to let this be an easy rotation to one of the deadliest teams in the lobby.
The launch pad's already down. Malibu and Mustache cap off HP and hit it. Off they go. It's Chicho and Trulix who are looking in. These guys have gone head-to-head so many times in the past, and you know there is all types of bad stories waiting to unfold in front of us. But Chicho and Trulix don't get the elim. They manage to hit the ground running. Malibu and Mustache are waiting here, though. Oh yeah, time to fight back.
Malibu just trying to break through. He talked about in some of those interviews playing a little bit more passive than what he's used to. 2 eliminations. I gotta think they're trying to pick and choose a lot of their battles, but the lobby is putting such a focus onto these 2, getting them to expend so many resources. Malabuka has just about 60 to 70 HP as well. Mustache is trying to do what he can to try to find a stabilization method here, but it's just happening from so many different players who have so many different angles.
One thing that is working, though, is the zone. It pulls pretty close to all the players nearby. Finally, things settle down. Tayson and Chapik's last game found the same duo on the edge, but let's jump on over to the west side. Let's get to the opposite side. It's Thomas HD and Tripburn. What a great standing so far here, looking pretty solid. They have Janice and Vidil weakened nearby. Bugha and Miro are also making it much further this game, looking like they've adjusted, learned from their last mistakes, but here we go, that familiar story, 3 above.
Yeah, and you can kind of see in the circle is, the zone is literally in the center of the zone. So I don't think there's gonna be too much of any slow side for a lot of these teams to try to travel to. Is Miro taking a couple of shots, but the team that went off spawn trying to have a much better performance. Mr. Savage and Eyedropper under siege, under pressure. Mr. Savage is gonna get dropped for now, trying to pass on the resources to Eyedrop because he knows he's gonna have to deal with a lot.
Nore on his back here. Eyedrop has to step up. Savage is down. Can he do it? He's been in so many finals with Mr. Savage. His 3rd appearance now in a big setting like this. But of course, the first return to in-person. They're going to allow. Marine might actually allow him to get the pickup. Whoa, that is a huge mistake there.
Yeah, a huge mistake. And honestly, these are one of those things that you take a picture, you record this moment right here. Mr. Savage went down. You give a player like that a second chance at life, they will make you regret it. As they're trying to launch pad away, trying to find some sort of safety. Sticking box to box, hip to hip, landing on a couple more resources as well. This is a perfect spot to land at for Eyedrop and Mr. Savage. That way they can replenish some of the lost resources.
Such a massive find right there. It was looking like it was all over for a moment. But there, they get a little lucky. Smite and Larson at 4 elims now. It seems like as all the action, as all the cooks jumped into the kitchen, they have managed to walk away with a successful meal or two. They're looking pretty good.
4 elims, like you said. Clown Ref Scar just a little bit above him. You just check a sneak peek at the leaderboard. Cammy and Seti still holding on to first place by 7 to Asia's Barim and Zagu. 151 above for the NA West. 3-time champions, Favs and Snacky, sitting in a good spot, trying to gather the information. But Vadiel and Janice are under pressure. With Vadiel down, 56 below the damage threshold. Shots from Thomas HD to take down another EU powerhouse.
And in the distance, Japan is just lurking nearby. Asia has performed so well. Remember, Mareem and Zagu are in 2nd place as the most recent FNCS champions of the Asia region. Easy and Vino, though. Big story in front of them. This is a team that we have had the competition as they have had one of the more dominating tracks leading into this, taking home a multitude of Elite Cup finals where the competition, as we know it, is extremely tough. Meanwhile, Smite and Larson, battle's breaking out above them. They get to steal the loot here. That's a great find.
Yeah, that's a huge find for them. You get to upgrade some of your inventory, get some more heals. The Chroma Splash probably going to be used a little bit later just to get that rotation to come through. For them, they found a huge amount of resources. That way they could try to make it towards the next end game. But you see Storm Surge just still affecting so many teams.
Tough spot to be in there for Larson as he misses the heal. And Anas and Pink go down from the high ground. It's Vortex in hand. They are just turning this lobby upside down right now. Queasy and Vino are back at it again, though, in this endgame here, trying to find a position. Now, remember, what they did in the last game was exactly this. Half in, half out. They say, hey, we're going to play for high ground. Vortex says, all right, you can have it. Hen says, you can have it. I'm going to low.
Yep, I got to be careful here. Queasy and Vino both know 6th moving zone, which is about to happen here shortly, is one of those zones to where, yeah, you might have the high ground now, but with the amount of launch pads going around, the amount of threats that are in this lobby, you might have to stagger your teammates 1 forward, 1 back, just to make sure nobody is able to sneak it away.
Oh, this is looking like a tough situation right now for our champions, Mareem and Zagu. Once again, leading into this game, 2nd place. No heals. Very, very peculiar spot to be in. The zone pulls far south as well. Now, they have some mats, but they will absolutely need a refresher right now. Maybe even a gifted launch pad from a team in the distance. All around them are so many healthy players. On the other side, Vino and Queasy starting to eye up the lobby, size up the rest of this game here. Bugha finds Mareem in the feed. There it is. The full finish is going to start to come through. The first elim for Bugha and Miro.
This is where I'm looking at the mini-map right now, seeing where it's actually going to go. There's different elevations. I think whoever is able to grab a side of that mountain first will have the best chances to win this game overall, as they're still 500 above the damage threshold. Cammy, as soon as he lands, he's going to get back up to 200 along with Seti as well.
Kanata still alive in this game as well. Keep an eye out for him, but Seti and Cammy have to defend their lead right now. 3 elims, what a way to do it so far. Meanwhile, Queasy and Vino are still on hype. This is one of the toughest end zones as well. Flutter Barn has so much varying terrain. You have to be careful. There are indestructible, large stone monuments in between you and your rotate.
But Kanata going down, leaving Macwood as a solo. They at least got 1 elimination, so they don't have to worry too much about damage in terms of Storm Surge. But Bugha and Mero, as it does shut off, you saw they were well above it. So changing up their strategy, and it's paying off handedly.
The pacing is incredible right now. Only 19 duels remaining. Things have really taken a turn here for the worst for most. Reed's gonna get burned and turned back to the lobby there as he falls, but that's still well inside the top 20. Meanwhile, Vino on high ground, looking very comfortable. No resistance. Larson and Smite are making up for where they left off. They may have not earned a huge game 1, but a great game 2. And now, Miro and Bugha are fighting back.
Yeah, 2 of the big NA West powerhouses going down. They're trying to get that elimination, but Bugha and Mero huge shot's gonna be fired, but Miro's getting tagged back up. He needs that Siphon to go through, but it's still not gonna be enough. PH then does go down. Bugha trying to be that IGL. He's trying to lead him to greener pastures, but he's running out of resources. Backwood falls. High ground though. Does Vino and Queasy still have that position onto the high ground of Smart and Lowson? They're not ultimate low, but they found themselves that perfect middle layer.
And you'll notice Bugha is now left by himself. KVR finds his teammate Smite and Larson on the ultimate low. Hen and Vortex front side firing back and on high. Vino are looking like this is a fairy tale game for EU once again, but we'll see if NA can step up to the damage. Let's see it. Hen is going to be punished and now hunted down. Smite doesn't find the full elim here, but my gosh, already at 6 eliminations. Meanwhile, we jump over. Senton and Cole still alive here. This is where they do best. Like we said before, it's bread and butter. They know how to stick hit to hip. They have to now. Cole is hurt.
Multiple top placings out of this duo. Not wanting to fall short here today, but Cammy and Seti from high ground to low ground. Another end game is going to be achieved. True Lex gets dropped. Smite's going to go ahead and lend that helping hand, trying to steal away all of that loot, but the zone is just immediately chunking him out. 4 HP and a dream for Smite.
And a huge end game right now in front of Smite here at top 5 unlocked before him. Cammy goes down, Seti goes down, and it is all his here. And now he fights back, but the zone does the rest. Great game there, but Vortex is now by himself. What can he do? Cole and Senton now have the high ground. They have turned the story around.
I don't know how they stole it away, but Kitos is solo as well. High ground versus low ground, but it's a 2v2. Senton and Cold versus Vortexers and Hen. This is going to come down to the wire monster, and this is going to come down to Senton and Cold when and where they drop down low.
Once again, we are looking at an NA versus EU finish. Cold is going to get big tagged there by Vortex on the low ground. 7 elims, no builds. It's looking very, very tough, and it's the same story for Hen as well. It's all or nothing. Can they find something here? But Senton and Cold, although they have the height, they are also running extremely low on resources. But if there's a team that can do it, it is them.
Yeah, you see them trying to go back outside of zone, trying to find anything to work with in terms of Hen and Vortex. Senton and Cole to talk about. It's up to them when and where they drop down low. The game is definitely in their hands. They just have to close it out. EU versus NA East. This one is just a prolonged long game, but the damage is in from Cold.
And this is what we talked about. That wall, there's nothing you can do. It's all or nothing. Down goes Cole. Senton's hurt too, but they have the angle. They're going to wait this one out just for a little bit and allow the zone to do the rest. Cole finds the one, and Senton finds the other. NA takes game number 2.
You look at that. The passion, the emotion coming out of Senton and Cold. A team from NA East. Honestly, I don't think they got the right respect coming into this event because of what happened to them last season.
That's right. Cold and Senton have been here before, and now they get a victory in person, on stage against some of the best we have ever seen. And what a way to do it. EU game 1, NA game 2. It looks like the stories are tied.
Right there was perfect because you heard me talking about wanting them to drop down low. I want to see what they're thinking, how they're feeling. Kelly, let us know.
I am joined here by Cold and Senton, and you guys, what an incredible run. You got to tell me, though, how did you take height?
So Queasy and Vino just dropped on our sidewalls, and we insta-edited and just shot them.
I mean, obviously a great strategy, right? But I mean, that final moment there, how did you know how to take them down? Obviously, you guys were kind of in that high ground, low ground fight. What was the final moment like?
Honestly, Cold called to just drop above him and sit there. I don't know, he did most of it that game and played really well. He's the GOAT.
All right, man. Well, congratulations. You both are the GOAT now. That is game 2 VR for you guys. Let's head on back to the desk.
As EU picks up the first game of the FNCS Invitational, NA strikes back and says, nah, not like this. Cold and Senton, really quickly, I do want to touch on this. At the start of the show, we talked about possibly taking your shoes off as a form of being comfortable. Taco, you're right.
It's a legitimate strategy, man. Anybody that has played competitive will tell you the same thing. It matters, but more importantly, what matters even more so is that jump in the leaderboard positionings that we are seeing happen now for Cold and Senton. A 41 placement jump. Granted, have to keep in mind that it's still a little bit of ways to go, but they are now breaking into that top 10.
Gosh, these leaderboards always seem to surprise me because even after this incredible game from Cold and Scented, they're still 34 points behind the leaders in Cammy and Seti, who, shout out to them for holding the lead. But this is just so good from Cold and Scented. And this is the moment that we missed right here. This is the one that Cold was talking about. Queasy and Vino actually make a play. And this is actually classic for them. I've seen them do this in Elite Cups where, they try to quickly pinch a duo that is in these builds, and it usually works out very, very well. But Cold and Scented hold on very, very well, as Cold mentioned, making that instant edit, getting the shot in, and ultimately they realize Queasy and Vino were the ones on height, and let's go up and take it. And this right here, it's just all about riding the zone. Now you can see the zone point up there going right through the mountain. Henry Vortex just had no chance after that. Clean win from Scented and Cold, who, as you can see right there, what we were referring to, Scented, no shoes.
It makes all the difference, man.
It does, apparently, as proven by Scented. We do have Adam, who is standing by. He's hanging out with a player. Adam, who?
That's right, I'm hanging out with everyone right now, in particular Smite and Larssen, everyone. Smite, that was an incredible display just then. We saw 7 eliminations. You clutched up, you had to. So how imperative is it in this situation, in this environment as well, that you have to try and gain as many points as possible, even when your teammate goes down?
Oh, it's really important. I mean, like, you need to get as many points as you can. Like, every point matters. Doesn't matter.
Now, you're being contested as well here, Larssen. Muzz and Looter, they're looking like they're fighting each time. Are you guys up for this? How are you managing to deal with that when it comes at you?
We're down to fight every game, and I don't care, bro. I'll fight them every game.
You don't care, bro. They'll fight them every game. Give it up for Smite and Larssen, everyone! Thanks, boys. And also over here, I'm delighted to be next to Peterbot and Jamper! Jamper as well. Jamper! It's been what an experience being here in this situation, this environment. How are you guys dealing with the rest of the regions being here, competing with you in the same lobby?
Our original strategy hasn't been working, so we're gonna have to make changes into the next games. But it's very fun playing here. The crowd is amazing, and I'm happy to be here.
And there's still 10 games left, plenty of time to do that.
Yes.
Okay, you got this, you feeling confident? I'm feeling confident for you. The crowd are feeling confident too. Let's hear it from Peterbot and Jamper as we head back to Zeke and the desk.
Thank you so much for that insight coming out of the players. This is kind of what we've been talking about, right? The question has been, once all of these regions finally meet head-to-head on the island, what will happen? Will strategies hold? And the answer for some is no. Because who knew that having to adapt to a meta that is completely different than your own region that you've been playing for several FNCSs now is going to be very difficult.
But if it's anybody that has a strong head on their shoulders, it's going to be Jamper. He's been around for so long, and I love to hear him like, listen, we did the same strategy in games 1 and 2. It's not working. So let's just switch it up. And I love the fact that they are just able to kind of, have that mentality, but then also have a backup strategy. That's what's really important.
But that's just part of what it means to be part of the 50 of the best duos competing here for the FNCS Invitational title. But not only that, while they might be working on some changes, Cammy and Seti are a duo where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They have been maintaining this first place position throughout the first 2 games, and it's definitely a very strong performance here out of this Polish duo. More importantly, I think that Cammy and Seti have just been able to consistently stay working throughout this mid-low ground element, despite the fact that we've been seeing a lot of high ground takes and a lot of high ground play from the close of the lobby. I think that Seti and Cammy did a great job just holding on to this underside congestion control.
We talked about it after game 1. It's like, whoa, Cammy and Seti are on high ground. This right here, this was more so their style, where it's just like, we're paying attention to the high ground changes that are going on. And then all of a sudden, we load up the leaderboard, and it's like, okay, they had 44 points after game number 1, and now they're at 77. They just got 33 points that game. When did that happen? You know what I mean? Like, they love to play these games where they don't like to show up and show out. They just consistently get those points. A couple elims here and there. They're not popping off the elimination feed, but they're just so consistent. And those are the type of games that are scary because, we saw a great performance out of Cold and Scented, but still, even after game number 2, they're still like 30-odd points behind because Cammy and Seti are playing so well.
And it's the competitive experience, I think, that also helps them with understanding, hey, even if I've lost my duo partner in this moment, I can still hold on for moments longer. I think that was a great display there, that closing kit there for Setis and Cammy, and I think that ultimately they're going to probably just keep trying to stay consistent here.
Yeah, I mean, one point we tuned in and they were 500 above Surge. I don't know how that's humanly possible, but for Seti and Cammy, it's just another day at the office. Let's talk about Queasy and Vino there. They did get edited on, right? And listen, we have, as the viewing audience, we have the much larger perspective, right? For them, in this opportunity, this was the only chance they had, and we're going to start to kind of figure out what happened.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, you know, throughout these replays right here, we can maybe catch some insight into why they actually ended up dropping down, because it seemed like they were getting refreshes. I know they specifically got one right at the start of, you know, moving zone number 2. So it looked like they were chilling on mats. And again, right here, as you can see, Queasy actually only 2 builds up. So that was the call. Let's go try to get a refresh real quick. Unfortunately, Cold and Scented, they're so good in box fight situations, especially Cold. I mean, you know, Scented picked him up just because he is such that well-rounded mechanical player. And Cold and Scented, you know, one thing that I love about them is they're always on the same page, and it's always incredible to see. And right there was one of those situations, unfortunately, for Queasy and Vino. But I love that out of them, right? Going for those plays is what is going to make the difference on the international stage.
As far as the IGLing is concerned, Queasy seems relatively confident still in that decision. 2 times over now, we've seen this duo go for high ground by the time that first moving zone actually comes into play. And maybe 3rd time's the charm here for this duo.
All in all, though, the high ground strategy is working, right? Second place right now, only 4 points behind first, so just keep doing their thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like, especially looking at how many eliminations they had, man, 5 eliminations, 5 refreshes, and that wasn't enough to take them through that game. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Cold and Scented back on them, 44 points, 6 elimination, currently sitting in that #1 spot. Again, 2,800 damage dealt.
That's my favorite stat.
At game 1, we saw it was 2,200, and I thought that is an astronomical number.
Yeah.
Cold and Scented said, hold on, one moment.
So we're going to see, you know, hopefully we keep seeing those stat lines, because as the day progresses, teams are going to get more and more aggressive, which means that this storm threshold is going to progressively go up, which means that teams are going to need to do more and more damage. So hopefully we'll see, you know, maybe we'll break into the 3,000s for an individual team, but yeah, 2,800 damage, that is a lot.
But entering the halftime point, essentially, because heading into game number 3, if there were ever a time to look for a shift in strategy, like what we heard from a couple of duos earlier, I think that Peterbot and Jamber, they had like the right idea. They're like, hey, it's not working out. This is where you would want to make the adjustments, is heading into game 3.
Let's find out. It is time to see who will rise, who will fall, and how they will adjust to these games. This is game number 3 of the FNCS Invitational.
And just like that, we are already gearing up for the next round of action.
Yeah, game number 3 right around the corner, but 2 exciting games. Battle Bus is ready. Not long to wait, because game number 3 starts now.
Now we're moving at my pace. Let's do this. Take a look at your screens. Take a look at these players. Someone here will walk away with it all.
$200,000 for first place. A trophy unlike ever before seen in Fortnite, and a chance to call yourself one of the best in the world of Fortnite, not just your region.
And it looks like we have a very similar bus to the last round. That means these northern contested teams are going to fight first. One of the biggest things we saw from game 2 was that early elimination onto Noah Riley. Edgy quite literally, you know, took him out before he can even touch down. And then, of course, there's this battle here, a battle of who can get the best drop. And what a great way to kick things off. Such a powerful loadout to really start things here.
Yeah, and it does look like Baka and Onwin making yet another adjustment. They win the off-spawn fight in game 1. They lose it in game 2. And this time around, they're not even contesting for a fight, but blinking, you might have missed it. A first elimination is gonna be on to Looter, so Smite and Larson are finding ways to get things done again.
NA fires back first onto OCE here, and a great find, a great reward comes out of the very little time Larson and Smite had to loot up there. Take a look at these loadouts. It all comes together for them now. You know, sometimes it's all it takes, right? Sometimes it's all it takes is a little bit of luck. You get the right loot, you're able to take that fight nice and fast and clean it up.
see, now the picking and choosing comes through. They're going to slow things down, try to loot up as much as possible, making their way in towards one of the only houses towards Grim Gables. And you can kind of see in the distance, Muzz is still floating around, and he's not trying to cause too much commotion and put the focus onto him. He's just trying to wait for Smite and Larssen to leave so he can try to get that free reboot onto Looter.
Trying to wriggle his way through this slow ground here. He knows that material is going to be the key to allowing him to do something big here. Achieve the unthinkable, win a 1v2 against Smite and Larssen, who built their entire reputation this last chapter off of these early game fights. Smite wants none of that. He walks to the wall. Muzz, you're great, but how good? And no, Smite and Larssen come out on top. They clean things up for 2 games in a row now and earn themselves a little bit more.
And as soon as Mr. Savage gives up a little bit of the high ground on when Ibaka immediately trying to take it over, him and iDrop are separated just a little bit, and that could have been a perfect opportunity for them to strike. But everybody is just biding for time, biding for that perfect moment so that they can pounce. And this one that we talked about, you heard it from Mr. Savage, you heard it from iDrop. I've been landing here for a year straight. No one is going to scare me off.
And the real question is iDrop walling out right now? He's getting very close to Onward and Ibaka. But no, now he decides, all right, I'll listen to you, Savage. I'll come on down, but you have to meet me down here as well. And they start to retreat here. And this might just end, but no, Ibaka steps up, but Savage is so quick. What a shot right there. And now he turns the tables around. iDrop looking to meet them down here. A great free fire, but not enough to find a tag. And all of a sudden, now they reevaluate.
Yeah, I like the outside of the box thinking coming out for a couple of players in the game already, bringing out their protractors, trying to find that extra angle. And that's the thing, if you have all that confidence in your teammate as a solo, you'll allow them to kind of play with the angles, play with the high ground, and try to see what they can get. And they get 149 damage, disappearing off the back of On1. Another shot's gonna be fired. Hey, Rob goes down. It's a 1v1. Mr. Savage versus On1.
Savage wants none of it. He wants none of it. He finishes it up. And just like that, 2 games now, he's back in it. Meanwhile, Malabuk and Merstash, one of the greatest duos we expected to show up today, put on such a performance, have been met with so much resistance every single turn. There's a new great team waiting for them. This has been probably their least favorite duo to meet, though.
Yeah,
Chapik and Tayson.
It does look like they're fighting over the vault that is right below him. Doesn't want to let that one go easy. But you got to be careful because there's a third team landing towards Cloudy Condos, another team towards the north in the form of Kanata and Macwood that could be lending that helping hand, trying to get that Storm Surge damage for themselves and make your job that much harder. For Malabuk and Mustache, it's all about trying to find the perfect angle, trying to find that information so they can try to catch a player off guard, because we already know they're one of the most aggressive teams in this lobby.
See it. You're waiting, trying to capitalize on any opportunity here. We all know what Tayson is capable of. One of the most winningest players in the European region. He has done it all. He has proven it all. All that's left is for him to show up in person and put the numbers up. But it's no easy task right now. Malabuk and Merstash are so good playing defensively right now. They're doing a great job, but Tayson is slowly, inch by inch, getting closer and closer.
He won't let that piece control go over. Tayson has tried a few times, but you try again. Eventually you'll find some success. They're able to take it just for a few seconds, but the longer you fight this far out of zone, it's gonna get more and more dangerous because we got a little bit of a north zone going on. These guys are gonna have to end this one sooner than later, even if they both choose to disengage.
Merstash fighting back here, trying to regain the walls here.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Huge tag on Chapik here, nicely done. He's gonna open things up, allow him to get some more territory, and closer he walks, but Tayson fights back. The 4X FNCS champion is all of a sudden now with his back against the wall here. But no, he's hurt. Malabuka says, forget that. It takes him down. And now it's up to Merstash. And no, he finishes it off too. And Chapik is left running. Trapped now inside the box. Oxygen starting to run out. He fights back, but for how much longer? Chapik does so much damage. He loses the wall. And no more shield now, and it's all over. Chapik and Tayson fall.
And for Malabuk and Merstash, that is huge. Because not only does it get you elimination points, it gets you the Storm Surge, so you don't have to worry about it later in the game as Chimp and Scram trying to get things going for them. Chimp, one of the most consistent players in NA East. And you got Pamsu and Vatch on the other side, also from NA East, so they have a lot of familiarity in terms of fighting against each other. Scram is going to be the odd man out, and you see him trying to find some separation because him and Chimp are not that close together. And all it takes is for both of them to kind of bum rush into one box and kind of end their run.
Now jumping over to the other side of the map, as we all know, this area, one of the most hotly contested zones right now, Tilted Towers, at every single in-person event, has always been the home of fireworks. And Chicho and Trulix are looking to go ahead and see what they can spark up nearby, but that's not going to be anything. On the other side, NA West cooling Yuumi. One of the few teams on NA West showing up in the top 10 so far.
Yeah, had a fantastic game, number 1, 3rd place. Cool, got to be living on a prayer right now because for him, he's 1v2'd. Unfortunately enough, he was unable to get Yuumi up in that game. He had to finish it off as a solo. And for this duo, it's kind of slow and steady. They land out here towards the island, a little uncontested. They might have one team just a little bit south. For them, it's about getting the resources, looting up, and then they go on the top of the Mighty Monument to find their surge before they eventually try to rotate out.
Robob and Walks now stepping up. They're chasing down Peppo here.
Runa's already gone too.
Of course, Runa, yeah, way off in the distance.
No,
here.
he's gone. He's out. He's watching.
Uh-oh.
This is gonna be good. Bob. Forced to kind of in a defensive position. Walks trying to alleviate some of that pressure. Peppo doing all he can. One of the best in his region, but while it does look like it's gonna be taken, Walks with a huge shot. Runa and Peppo go down in 45th place.
Tough spot to be in for Runa and Peppo. One of the few representatives for the Asia region have now been taken out. Cold and Sensed on the other side after a hot win there are now positioned up dead center, and it seems like they have done enough. This villain story that we've seen unfold over the weekend, contested in the lead up. Malibu and Mercer still problems on the horizon. Could it be, of course, Bugha and Mira who were looking off and picked them off?
I knew they were going to go on top of the Mighty Monument to try to get the Storm Surge, but great minds think alike. Peterbot and Jamper from NA East beat them to it and took down one of the players from the NA West Championship duo. It's going to leave Cool by himself yet again, but how many 1v2s can you take?
This is Peterbot, though. Put some respect on his name, and he makes it look easy. It's just like that. Jamper and Peterbot earn themselves a huge elimination onto a team inside the top 10. What an Elin.
And for them, you got to think Peterbot and Jamper don't have to worry about Storm Surge in the immediate future, but you know how active this lobby is. They got to start thinking about it later on in the game once they find that rotation.
Well, listen, we have Mini Miner here to update us on more action.
Thank you so much, Monster. Now, this is a prime example as to how to finish a fight quickly, right? We know PhScene and Ketos are fighting in the middle of the map. They need to finish this fight quickly, and look at that. Pinching from both angles, getting that Storm Surge done early, as well as bolstering their loot. Look out for this team for the rest of the game.
And that is such a huge set of elims there, because that's another team that is huge, like honestly showing up for the Brazilian region. PhScene and Ketos, man, wait for them to just really show out. You know, the discussion and lead up to this entire event was things are going to be easier. You know, let's not respect these guys. And now all of a sudden they're saying, hold up. No, hold my water. Hold my mini shield. Let me show you what I'm capable of. And I am so impressed by what we have seen so far.
And you're seeing a lot more activity in this game than the previous two, because they're starting to fill each other out. They're realizing how hard it is to get Storm Surge later on in the game, so they're trying to get it as early as possible, so that when they end up in those close zones, they're boxed up, they can pick and choose when they have to peek, instead of Storm Surge saying you have to go or you're going to go back to the lobby.
Vidio, no stranger to victory royales, but falling very much short so far. You saw the standings there, 4 points separating first and second. Still a very much competitive competition, but EU has taken big strides to start leading the pack here. Pamsu and Vatch are solid, but let's get on over to Clix and Duke here. They've had such an uphill battle fighting their way out of the Joneses against Pink and Anas, and we've already seen it has not been
below the damage threshold. For them, they have to worry about it, yes, but it's such a low number. They're just trying to get ahead of a lot of the rest of the teams, so that way they can easily try to look back. And the shot still coming in from the high ground. There goes Duke trying to poke a couple of shots. He finds some good damage, but takes some as well. Going to be above the damage threshold. So once again, they can find a way to kind of rotate forward. And I want to see now, because history says when Clix and Duke fall behind the zone, they somehow find a way to kind of not have those good games.
I think the player base tends to forget, the scene tends to forget. Clix has also competed in the World Cup for solos and duos. This is where it all began for him so many years ago. And just look at the difference now. All grown up here at the international stage, still competing at the highest caliber. For Merim and Zagu, similar stories. They've been putting in work for a very long time, but look at this. Tough right now. This is the worst we've seen them.
Yeah, we're pretty active in game number 1. Trying to do it again in game number 2. Game number 3, 164 below the damage threshold. The lucky thing for them is not only are they right at the edge of zone, they have rotation right above them, they have elevation right above them, so they're going to be able to kind of lay their eyes on the lane and try to find the shots. But Bevy and Vortex are under siege yet again. Luckily for them, they're 153 above the damage threshold, so they can pick and choose. Do we fight this here? Do we kind of wait a little bit longer? And it looks like they're just going to peek, try to get even more surge, and hunt down these teams as Vortex takes a huge amount of damage.
Vortex versus Vortexers for a second there. Don't be confused. Two very different duos. Kanata and Macwood, though, are alive right now. We've seen them put up some exceptional performances today so far, especially in that game 1. They were the upset to Bugha and Miro. Game 2, not quite where they wanted to be, but this here is a chance at redemption. They find Robab and walk on the edge of zone. Malabuka from the Storm to the new safety of the zone. It's not looking good, though. He has lost his teammate.
Yeah, early games, they were below on damage.